Hey y'all, welcome to the Moving with Millennials podcast with your favorite millennial realtors.
We are 4 top producing agents in the DFW area, and we are ready to share the good, bad, and the real life of real estate.
Whether you're thinking about getting into real estate, already an agent, or just curious about what your agent really does, join us.
Tune in every Wednesday to see what it's really like to be on this side of the transaction.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Moving with Millennials. We are pretty close to Halloween, so we thought it would be fun to maybe scare some spooky real estate stories.
Yeah. We're going to scare off all the buyers and sellers from buying real estate.
Yeah. Honestly, some of the houses I've been in have scared off my clients.
Oh,
so
yeah, for sure.
That's going to fade.
I've been in some pretty scary houses too. Yeah. Being a real estate agent is kind of scary. I mean, I saw this meme the other day and it was like, wait, you're telling me for a living I go and meet random people I don't know in other people's houses.
That I don't know.
It's like, it's actually a very scary job.
I want to look at the statistic, but for some reason I feel like real estate is like one of the most quote unquote dangerous professions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That there's like more, not like physical crimes, like getting like robbed at like gunpoint or getting,
murdered.
Murder or like
there's
abuse. I'm trying to think of the word, but like physically attacked of some sort. That it's like our profession is like has like the highest rates of those.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they
scary.
definitely, I feel like our office does a good job to like, they do the realtor safety type stuff. And I think there is a lot of realtor safety stuff out there, but I feel like there still needs to be more.
I agree.
Like, I think your number one thing is your gut. Like, I always go off my gut. Like,
I thought you were saying your gun.
that too. Which, no, I do. I need to get, like, my,
license.
my license. Yeah. Because, and Brian has, like, tried to push me on that. And I'm like, I will as long as I can, like, go to the range and be real comfortable. Like, I need to be real comfortable with it.
I know.
But you almost need to sometimes because there's some scary moments.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why I like that I typically only work by referral. So I'm like,
right.
that's the good thing about, like, the way that most of our businesses are working.
Yeah. Well, I was just about to say something I forgot.
I work by referral for the most part too, but even if like someone refers me, there's been moments where I've been referred to like someone and he's a single guy and it's like, no, like I would think I could take him kind of thing if I needed to. But there are moments when I'm like, I don't really know this guy, and how well does the person that referred him know him too?
I know. That's why I don't like on social media. I do not like my number, even though anyone can Google and find my number. But it's just like I got a freaky call the other day. Like,
tell us about it. Because I'll tell you about the calls I used to get.
The guy was like crying. He was like, "You don't know who I am?" Like, I'm like, "No," and I usually don't answer. Or like
I still don't. Like, everyone is like, "Oh, an agent has to always answer the phone." I'm like, "No, that's what voicemail is for. If it's important to leave me a voicemail."
Voicemails are like so delayed for some, and I have gotten better about not really answering unknown calls, especially like they'll flag them if it's like spam. But this one wasn't. For some reason, I answered, and he was like literally like crying, like Maggie, like. I was like, who is this? And he's like, you don't know who I am? Like, and I immediately got this app.
Said?
No. I hung up. So I was Chris was out of town, so I was like freaking out. So I got this app.
It was probably Chris.
I have like the spam app that like flags them, like it's free, but I got this paid one. And it like, well, even if it's like unknown, it'll tell you the number and the name.
Whatever caller ID.
I was so freaked out.
So I had to get something like that. So when I first got into real estate, this is why I don't put my signs on or my pictures on my signs anymore. And I'm not saying it's because of that for sure, but I was getting pretty consistently a call from an unknown number, so they were blocking it, and they were literally like, Mariana.
That's so
like creepily saying my name.
Yeah.
And then where it got really worse is like they were clearly like, I don't know what they were doing in the background, but it did not sound like they were doing something they probably, and like saying my name and like all the things. Yeah, it was like really creepy. And like, I had Brian on the phone with him several times, like telling him like, do not call this number, like getting real aggressive with him. And that guy kept calling. He would call me like at 3 a.m.
Could you not block
if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast?
It's unknown.
Okay, so you gotta get this app because it really
I did get an app at one point, but the thing with the app is it was recording also like the my calls and stuff. So it would like announce that the call was going to be recorded every time. So it's just weird.
I'll have to see what mine is.
But yeah, that was probably my scariest moment in real estate.
And he just eventually stopped?
Eventually, yeah, because I'm like, I'm going to report you to the police, and like I was like saying everything to try and get him to stop.
I hung up because I was freaked out.
But, I guess I'm not attractive. I don't get these things.
Do you have your picture on your side?
No.
He's like, yes, I do. Well, that's why. I'm just kidding.
So you ugly.
Yeah, it's freaky. And then I got to think about it. I was like, maybe it's like one of my past students or something, like prank calling.
Right.
But like the guy sounded, I was freaked out. Like, and I don't really get freaked out that
Yeah.
easily, but like he was just saying my name over and over.
In the midst of all that, I had a random like person call me, found me off of Zillow or online somewhere, and they were from California. They said they were like a cash buyer and they wanted to go like see this house. You know, and it was like this random house or whatever. And it just almost was like too perfect of a situation when he called me and gave me all the details. Like I almost didn't even have to ask some of the things. Yeah. So I like immediately my guard is up, right? Yeah. So I remember telling him like, okay, that's great. Like here's my email. Go ahead and email me your proof of funds, all the things. And he never sent it to me. So I didn't ever followed up because I'm like, you know what? If you're serious, like, you're going to send me proof of funds. You're going to send me what I need because I mean, there's a reason agents ask you for that kind of stuff because who knows, like, what his real story was while he was actually calling me.
Some will, like, ask for your driver's license before.
I have done that,
I have too.
Yeah.
I have too, actually.
I haven't.
Yeah. And they complied, and it worked out great. They were one of my favorite families to work with, but, I mean, they understood. They were like, oh, yeah, like, safety concern. Yeah. So, for sure. So what's like some of the scary things you guys have seen in houses, like showings and stuff?
Speaking of Halloween, one time, it wasn't Halloween time, but there was a garage full of like skulls. Like they collected them, like they were on shelves. Like some of them like looked super like real and like just they don't random like dolls.
Oh my gosh.
Dahmer.
Like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah. Who's that?
What? No, Jeffrey Dahmer.
You need to watch the Netflix series about it.
Okay.
He's a serial killer.
But you don't know who that is, even without Netflix?
But he would eat his...
Yeah, he was a cannibal.
Ugh. Yeah. No. I don't really watch scary... I mean,
I don't watch it, but no, it's a real story. It was a real person.
Yeah. And he really... Yeah, no,
this was like a guy in the 80s. Like, he really killed and murdered and ate them. And so it's a documentary movie.
And, like, fed them to his next... what are they called? Victims.
Dates.
Yeah, dates. Victims. They're not dates.
No, they were dates.
Well, I know, but they are victims.
But they went on dates, and he would, like, cook chili, and...
It was human.
And then he'd kill and eat them.
If you are listening to this, we'll also post a clip of her facial reaction to this because it's
figure out who Jeffrey Dahmer is. Yeah,
that is disgusting.
Yeah, I know.
And like you have to be serious. What?
And speaking of so the whole I haven't seen the movie because I really don't want to.
It's a miniseries, I think.
It's a miniseries, but it's kind of like from the viewpoint of the neighbor too. So like the neighbor. So imagine if you bought a house or something, and this is happening like in the neighbor's house next to you.
It's worse. I think it's like condos or something, like kind of like an apartment complex. And it's real. Like the neighbor really did try to warn the police several times that she was hearing people like that she was hearing stuff going on, and the smell and everything, and the police like would not take her seriously.
Yeah,
that's bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, there were skulls, and that skulls in the garage.
It can always be worse.
Yeah. I had a house that was like full of like random like homemade dolls that was kind of that was weird, and like some of them had like the moving eyes, the eyes that would like blink, and it just was like I was like I just feel like I'm being watched nonstop, and I don't know which ones of them have cameras or if they don't. Yes. Like it's just very weird.
For sure. And I've had like seen mannequins, like just like not dressed or anything.
I actually had a friend that did own a mannequin.
Well, it was like a weird mannequin,
and
like that.
This was more just like a dress form, but she would dress that mannequin like for like parties and whatnot, kinda. But also for like if she had parties at her house, you're like dress that mannequin
like as if it was a guest.
That's
so weird.
Well, it freaked us out because like we walked in and it's like this like large
right there. Well, for sure. No, I think the only thing I've seen creepy like that is a bunch of bears. Like, I remember, I actually put a photo up of it this was several years ago, but it was like a whole wall, like, of shelves of bears, like, different types of bears. I mean, like, bears everywhere in a full room.
I had a Beanie Baby house, too. That didn't scare me, but I just was like,
wow.
We're about 2 decades past this, you know?
Babies.
Yeah, the Beanie Babies. Yeah. I did have one, this did kind of creep me out, because this was only like a month or two ago, but they had their Christmas tree up. And I don't know why that creeped me out, but I'm like, it's either up late or it's up super early, but either way, like, why is it up? Like, you're showing your house, like, your home's in the market.
Yeah.
It's just weird to me. I'm like, it is just weird. Yeah. But that was the only Christmas thing up. So it was like, and it was right in the entryway. I'm like, what is going on here?
So it was like a couple months ago?
This was like less than 2 months ago.
Like, it almost feels like the home's unlived in.
August or September.
Yeah.
Wow. I know people put trees up and like decorate them for Halloween, but
no, but this was fully decorated for Christmas.
Oh, that is kind of creepy.
JC has a pink tree, and it's Christmas, but we leave it up all year, and then like we'll switch out ornaments for whatever.
Yeah.
That's not visible to guests.
Yeah, it's weird. One thing I hate about this time of year though is when the time changes.
Yeah, but I don't think it's gonna. What did they decide on that? Like how?
Oh, are they gonna get rid of daylight savings?
I don't think.
I don't think it's been passed though.
Yeah, I think they're considering, but it hasn't passed
yet. I just hate that when it does turn into daylight savings or whatever, it gets really dark sooner. So like at 5 or 6.
Stop showing properties.
Yeah, well, that's when everybody wants to go see them. So
I won't show when it's dark.
There were several times when I remember showing houses, and it was only like 6:30 or something like that, maybe at the very latest. Yeah. And the house had no electricity. Oh yeah. And so we walked in, and I let my clients go ahead of me. And I'm like, y'all are more than welcome to walk through here. But it was vacant, all the things. I was like, I don't know about going through this. And they kind of got the heebie-jeebies as well. And they're like, no, we're good. We don't want to see it anymore. And I said, let's go.
How many houses have you not walked into but allowed your clients to? Just that one?
Oh, no. I walk. Well, I mean, I kind of walk, but let them, like, if it's vacant. I don't know.
Yeah, I have had
a couple where
I've had at least 2 that I can think of, like right off the top of my head, that I opened the door, took one look inside, and let my client go in, and I said, I'm staying on the front porch.
Yeah, I've had 2. One was like a foreclosed property, and walked in and like literally just like stuff everywhere.
Yeah, you know what? I've done that before.
And the other one, it was vacant. Like I don't know.
It was vacant. There had clearly been squatters living in it. I could see like just inside that like flooring was messed up, and it looked like it was on a pier and beam. I was like, I'm not gonna fall through a floor and end up under the house. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it.
I did have a squatter situation.
Same.
This was probably last year. I was showing it with a guy, and it was one that was referred to me, but I got to know him, and I knew him well enough, so I felt comfortable with him, and I'm actually glad he was there, because if it was me and another girl or something, me and somebody else who I didn't think could take someone, I know. Or Jake, me and Jake, I don't think we could.
Oh, please. Just kidding. Please, I had 3 older brothers. I grew up fighting, so it's like I'm confident I can handle myself.
I'm bendy.
Yeah.
No,
I'm confident.
But I mean, if it was something or if I was like previewing it myself, but we walked outside and there was a squatter. He was out, not inside the house, but he was on the back porch. The house was vacant. He was on the back porch, clearly squatting, because we opened the gate to go to like the backyard, and there he is, and he's got like shower stuff, shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste out, all the things, like a bed like kind of made. So it was clear, and I was like, oh, hi, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm so-and-so, like, I know the owners and all this. They said I could come here.
And here.
I was just like, well, the house is for sale. Like, I don't think they want you here. Yeah. Well, then I texted.
It's written into the deed restrictions as like an allowed.
Well, no. But then I do. I text the agent and said, hey, just letting you know that you guys have a squatter. Like, I explained the whole situation, who I saw. He's like, oh, yeah, that's Jimmy. Like,
that's right.
I was like,
that's
wait,
like
what?
a granted easement, basically, at that point.
So I was like, he's not supposed to be there. The sellers told me he would leave. And I was like, what?
So I had the same thing for a listing on a major road in Dallas. Remember the one that I had last year that I had for a little bit of a time because just of the house and several things. But anyways, so theirs was a pretty large lot on a major road in Dallas, and it was only fenced about 1/3 of the lot, front to back, and then 2/3 of it wasn't fenced, and then there was like a creek. Realistically, you could fence in the whole thing. However, at the fence line, on the other side between their fence line and the creek, there was a homeless person that lived within their property. And she told me, she's like, he's staying. And I was like, what? like during, like while we're getting the house ready. She's like I'm like, you can't sell this human with your property. Like, I'm like, I don't, like, he can't,
he does
like,
not
he can't.
convey.
He's not an accessory.
Correct. Human. And like, also, I just was literally like stuttering and sputtering to try to figure out like, what do you mean he stays? Like, this is, like, he can't stay. Yeah. And she was like, no, like he lives here. Like, he should get to stay. And I was like, well, that's really up to the new owners. Yes, I was like, that's really up to the new owners. I was like, but we really realistically need him to like go on vacation while we are showing the property. Like,
on vacation.
Just maybe go to the neighbor's house.
Correct. I was like, if he could go a couple lots down, that would be like fantastic. But yes, there was like a whole thing, and she's like, well, so she like, as I'm getting ready to leave that appointment, she sends like one of the young kids to go out and talk to him and tell him like, hey, for the next few weeks, can you stay at another property?
Oh my god!
And I'm like, but you're sending a 7-year-old to go talk to him. It was the whole thing was, I was like, am I in real life? Am I being punked right now? Like what? Yes.
Ashton Kutcher, where are you?
Yes, I was like, who sends a 7-year-old to talk to like the homeless person that's staying for free on your lot? Like, this was so weird. It wasn't spooky necessarily. It just was weird.
Yeah.
But she was like, he stays. I'm like, stays with what?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
In the heck?
With you?
They have,
that's
like,
fine.
Squatter rights is like a thing.
Correct.
Like, isn't that like a, what is it called? if they stay there for so long, they could like become the owners.
So it's easier in some other states. So like in California, I think was like how they may have changed it, but years ago there was a news story where someone like the squatter like started staying in the house because the people that was their secondary property, their vacation property or something. So the squatter started living there, and he actually started having his mail delivered to his property. So that's it. You have to have either mail or utilities eventually put in your name, and then once you've lived there a certain amount of time, you can basically just like have a court like they do something and it puts it under your name.
I just like don't get it because if they're not paying to like I don't understand.
I don't know how like, the laws were. Yeah,
it's literally
I think now a lot of states have like tied those loopholes out because that one was such a big case years and years and years ago that like it was a big deal.
I don't think Texas has like cracked down on it.
Really?
Like, I think it's because whenever I walked into like a squatter at a listing, like I remember people like I was very new.
Yeah.
But people were like, oh yeah, that happens all the time. Like they have squatter rights.
Oh, well, yes. Like squatters, they haven't cracked down on that, but they've cracked down on them being able to like legally take the property.
Okay.
I think.
I just remember Googling it in Texas. Like I don't know. I can't.
Yeah,
remember
it's a weird thing.
It's really odd.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
Well, speaking of like the scary part of that, I remember last year I had a client really paranoid about doing a lease back because that whole situation in California that happened in like 2020, where someone sold their house and the sellers were leasing back the home. Well, they ended up going past the lease back and staying in the home for like almost another 60, 90. I don't even know if it was how much longer. It was months after. Well, they did, but here's the kicker, because when COVID hit and the eviction stuff, you couldn't force anyone. You couldn't evict anybody.
You couldn't force anyone to pay,
and you couldn't force anybody to pay their rent. Yeah, so they stayed in that property and like no penalties. Like cops couldn't do anything. Yeah. So I had people like paranoid to give a lease back because of this, and I was like, that was in California, first of all.
So the buyers who then became the new owners, they would literally like stay in the driveway and they would try to wait. Like if they would leave, they would try to like, because they had a key, they were planning like if they could get them to leave, they were gonna like unlock the door and change the locks and like remove all their furniture. And the people that were staying made sure that one person was home at all times.
Oh my god!
Because at that point you couldn't legally enter the home if someone was still in it in California.
Okay.
And so at the time, so yes, they were able to stay for months. They didn't have to pay rent. They couldn't be evicted. And because what happened is I think their home that they were gonna buy fell through for some reason. So he was like, well, we're not gonna be homeless during COVID. And the guy that stayed in the property, he literally thought nothing was wrong with what they were doing. Like the news would interview him and he's like, why are we expected to be homeless? He's like, this is our home. And like the interviewer would be like, well, but someone else owns the property now. Like you don't own it. And he's like, well, no, I'm a tenant. Like this is my home and I'm as a tenant. He's like, and the federal government says I don't have to pay rent and I can't be evicted.
Oh my gosh.
How annoying.
Psychotic.
Yes.
I'm like, I would have, there are a handful of things that I would have done to make sure I got myself into that property and got them out.
Gosh, yes.
I would have broken many laws, but.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It sucks. But crazy. Yeah, I mean, there's scary stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, that's not worse than the clients or the people here in DFW earlier this year that right as their home was about to be finished, the builder canceled their contract.
Oh my god.
That was scary times for
So all of my clients that were looking at new construction like, can my builder do that? I'm like, yes, they can.
Yeah.
They all can. Like there's
like at any time. It wasn't even just now though.
Correct. Yeah, I'm like
do that anytime.
I'm like, and you're not gonna find a single builder that doesn't have that in their contract.
I know, it's so builder friendly.
Yeah. That's talk about scary, those builder contracts.
And
They're scary.
I think situations like that, obviously like we do our best to like make sure that clients are aware of those things, and I think a lot of times clients it's just like over their head, like they're just focusing on buying the house, which as they should,
right.
And there are things that are out of our control too to be able to prevent things like that. I mean, what are we going to do? Tell the builder you want the house, right? We cannot change that contract. That rule is going to be there. It is what it is. You could have an attorney fight but you're not going to win.
No, the builder's not going to change the contract.
But it sucks that we almost have to figure that kind of stuff out through situations. Like, as we go, like, a situation pops up. So then the next time we have a client that's building, we're like, hey, just, it is in the contract that they could do that. Yeah. Just to warn them. But there's really nothing you can do about it.
I wasn't surprised by it because it actually happened to me once or twice during the design process, like when I worked as a designer for builders, that people would get under contract, and it wasn't because of like, well, nowadays it was the builders were okay with it because the difference in price, right? Value of the home from when they went under contract to when they were closing had gone up, so they knew they could resell it for more money. Back then it happened.
Lose money.
Back then it happened because they would just get tired of dealing with certain clients. Like, I had a builder that they had a pretty long build time, and so there were certain clients that just were such a handful, and they would complain nonstop throughout the build process about things. They were just nitpicking. Okay. So the builder would be like, listen, we're done. We're canceling your contract.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like, I already knew that they could do that because like, I saw it happen too quick. And honestly, it was like, well, you had it come in, you know, like
you get what you
correct, like you put that energy out there.
I would love to have that kind of power.
Yeah.
Be like,
my gosh.
Get this house now.
Yeah.
You want to talk to me like that?
Right? Can you imagine? Yeah. Oh yeah, I'd be like a little Napoleon with that.
So funny.
Instead, we take it like pillows. We're like, just keep coming out. We get all the they hit us while to get their frustrations out. Yeah.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyways.
I had the, I think we've talked about this before, but I had the house that was clearly used for human trafficking in Fort Worth.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about
all the
that.
trick doors and extra locks and hidden rooms and things like that. And like 4 mattresses in every single room, not just bedrooms. And that property was the same one. This actually did really freak me out.
Was this in Plano?
No, it was Fort Worth.
Oh, okay.
And I opened the door and we heard talking and I was like,
oh my gosh.
What's going on? So like, we both like, my client and I, he's much bigger than I am, thankfully. We both kind of like leaned in and it was like evangelical stuff. So I was like, well, they're clearly not preaching right now. So like we stepped inside. They had left the TV on like volume 85. And it was like a televangelist, like one of those like daytime church shows. And the guy was like preaching. And so like, obviously, like, I'm not going to touch or disturb a seller's property while we're doing a showing.
Right,
so it's like, I'm like, wish I could have like muted it or turned it off. So we had to walk the entire house with this televangelist like screaming at us.
So weird.
No.
It just was so creepy,
I don't
beyond
think I
creepy.
would have gone in.
Well, so like we couldn't. So like we stepped in the dining room. Everything was. It was like a hoarder house, so everything was dirty. And so like we saw dining and kitchen and family room. So I was like, okay. So we went the direction that we thought the master was going to be in, and there were 3 bedrooms, and they all had 2 to 3 locks on them, and the locks were on the outside of the bedroom instead of the inside, which is like that's a definite sign of like someone being held against their will, basically.
Yeah.
Even if it's like kids being locked in their room, that's not okay. So we would like the first bedroom we opened, it had 3 beds, like mattresses on the floor, and there were still sheets and things like that. All those bedrooms were that way, and at that point, I'm ready to go, but my client's like, well, like, we're here, might as well see it. And I'm like, no.
Are you really that interested?
No. And then that's the point where we found, like, there was, like, a door, and it, like, opened into, like, a closet, but then you could tell there was, like, it wasn't solid at the back of the closet, and that moved, and it went up to stairs above the garage. That was same thing, like, basically a bunk room.
No.
And it was like a hidden room. And then
how long were y'all in the property?
35 minutes at least.
Oh my gosh. Like
this must have been when the market was real bad for buyers and they really needed to find something.
And
seriously.
The backyard had like all this really tall grass. The fence was like 5 different types of fences. On like the one side that it was shared, because it was like kind of a corner lot. The one side that was shared, you could see like into the neighbor's lot, and their lot was like pristine, like gorgeous, and this was all like overgrown. And I just remember thinking like, why couldn't that house be for sale?
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, can I go knock on that door?
Oh my! Was anything like on the seller's disclosure? I
No.
guess nothing.
So in fact, I
like,
called the agent when I left, and I was like, I feel like something should be either disclosed on the MLS or on the
like
seller's
warn,
disclosure
just like
to just kind of warn agents like what they're walking into. I was like, because it was extremely uncomfortable. And he's like, what do you mean? And so I told him everything, and he was like, he said, I actually haven't seen the property.
Oh.
And I was like, how did you list it? And he said, this was a referral. He's like, they sent me like...
Did they do
like,
photos or anything?
Yeah, there were iPhone photos. And it was kind of dark, so you couldn't really tell. And it was limited spaces. So they didn't do photos of the bedrooms. Right. They had like bathroom, kitchen, family room, dining room.
That look
correct. And he's like, they sent me the photos. He's like, they just paid me, like, he's like, they're not paying me like the normal percentage. He's like, and I just agreed to list it. And he's like, and since it was like a reduced commission, he's like, I wasn't going out there. He's like, I had no idea. And I was like, I took videos. I was like, I'm going to send you a couple of them. And so he was like, oh my God. He like called me back either the next day or
we should
like later
almost
that
have
day.
like some sort of like code to like report something.
Correct. I was like, it's not my I was like, it should be reported. But I was like, I don't, like, what ability do I have? Like, on what basis do I have to like complain? Like, it was no harm was done to me, but I'm like, I feel like someone
like, you know how like teachers have
this.
like they have like some sort of ethics where they need to report stuff that they
even like certain gas stations, you can go to and stand in like a certain spot, and it's supposed to be like a visual to the counter person that like you're in trouble. I forget what it's called. Yeah, there's like a thing.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you list a property without seeing it.
Right.
I mean,
I'm too like OCD, as I was saying. I'm like too OCD for that.
Oh yeah, if I'm gonna put
too
my
particular,
name to something.
exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Scary stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know what other people's scary stories are. So, if you guys have any real estate scaries, like even if you're a realtor, let us know what the scary stories you've encountered, or if you're a client and you bought it or sold a house and there was something weird or off that was a little scary. Let us know.
Yeah, for sure. We should do this like little question bubble in the stories.
Yeah,
and let people fill it in.
We definitely will. We definitely will, and then we'll share them with everyone.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, have a safe and happy Halloween, guys. Hopefully you don't get too spooked out going door to door and knocking on the houses.
If anyone wants to knock on my door and deliver Reese's as a trick or treat, bring it to me.
Wait, so what are you? I think I heard y'all talking earlier. What are y'all going to be for Halloween?
So I don't know. I think JC already picked, but what we were talking about was like that parents nowadays like move Halloween. Like when we were little, it didn't matter if it was on a Tuesday or Wednesday or Saturday. Like you just went on the day that Halloween was.
Yeah.
Now it's like they don't want Halloween to be on a weeknight. So it's like they'll do like trunk or treats the weekends before, but then somehow some of the older people that are in neighborhoods still will do trick or treating on the on the actual day. It's like you end up having. Last year, I think we like trick or treated like 4 different times.
Like
there were three trunk or treats, and we went on a Halloween night.
Oh wow, no, I'm pretty sure we're gonna do the day of. It's a Monday, right?
Yeah.
This year,
I have JC that Monday, but I don't have her the weekend before, so I don't really know.
Well, then she has to go 2 or 3 times, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So you don't know what you're gonna be for Halloween? So we're gonna be. Well, I'll post a photo of it. So we call Chandler Bear a lot. So she's gonna be a little bear, and then me and Brian are also gonna be bears. So we're gonna be like Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear. Yeah.
I do like that.
Cute. Oh my gosh.
And I even, of course, got even like a little hat for the cat too. So she's gonna be Kitty Bear.
Kitty Bear. That's so cute.
So we're super excited.
We call JC Bear.
Oh, really? That's cute.
And so now her little Cub Scout thing, they're the wolves, and so she says, you can call me JC Wolf now.
I love it.
I love it. That's cute.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Chandler's going to look so cute in that.
Yes,
I know,
absolutely.
so
enjoy the years where you get to pick it out, because eventually they get a voice, and you're like, but I don't want you to be that.
But you get these 2 options.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
All right, well, have a happy Halloween.
Bye,
guys.
Bye.